Young Lions of Tarshish, the Dominion of Canada. Canada is an amazing country. It is the second largest by area in the world. It currently has the 10th largest GDP in the world. On almost every metric of democracy, quality of life, freedom, prosperity, and so on, it ranks high. All this for a nation that is extremely young. It achieved Dominion status, that is self-governing, in 1867. The last province to join it was Newfoundland in 1949. Canada is a nation of vast spaces and epic grandeur. This is part of its spiritual heritage. It is a northern country with an extreme climate. Much of its development there has been an emphasis on survival and mutual cooperation. It has more emphasis on social and communal cohesion than the USA, and less on individualism. Unlike the United States, it achieved its independence peacefully and has generally resolved problems in a constitutional rather than violent manner. To understand this video, you will need to understand what the Young Lions of Tarshish are. This is explained in the first video of this series entitled The Young Lions of Tarshish. Canada was inhabited mostly by indigenous people until the 15th century, when European settlers arrived. French and British expeditions explored, colonized, and fought for territory. The colony of New France was claimed in 1534 by France. French and British settlements grew over the next 200 years. But after the French defeat in the 7 Years' War in 1763, all of Canada was essentially ceded to British rule. Our main concern here is Canada's status as a young lion nation. After the American War of Independence, the 1783 Treaty of Paris recognized the independence of the newly formed United States and set the terms of peace, ceding British North American territories south of the Great Lakes and east of the Mississippi River to the United States. Many loyalists to the Crown emigrated from the USA to Canada and increased its English-speaking population. Canada was divided into mainly French-speaking Lower Canada and mainly English-speaking Upper Canada, each with their own legislatures. In 1840, the Act of Union abolished these legislatures and established the province of Canada as a new political entity. Canada then expanded westwards, and in 1867, the Constitution Act defined Canada as a federal dominion with its own constitutional structure. Canada developed along constitutional lines and never completely severed its link with Britain. In both world wars, Canada immediately supported Britain in its fight. Christianity of different denominations was brought to Canada by the Europeans. The French brought Catholicism, but also many Protestant Huguenots emigrated to Canada with their own Protestant Christianity. Upper Canada, what we know as Ontario, was heavily evangelized by Baptists, Methodists, Presbyterians, and Evangelical Anglicans. There were also many other nonconformist groups, such as the Brethren. It is estimated that by the end of the 19th century, 70% of people in Ontario were evangelical Christians, or at least attended evangelical churches. Canada in the early 20th century was probably the most evangelized of all the Tarshish nations. It became known for stability, law and order, and quality of life. All these things are under attack today. As a Tarshish nation, Canada's relations with Israel have generally been good. When Stephen Harper was Prime Minister from 2006 to 2015, the relationship strengthened considerably. The current incumbent Justin Trudeau has not been such a strong supporter of Israel. Like all nations, Canada is in a spiritual battle. The Christian evangelical roots that made it a great country are being eroded. Some of the great Canadian qualities of mutual cooperation and communal spirit have somehow been morphed into government control and restrictions on personal freedom. This is a process which is happening everywhere. However, Canada belongs to the Lord. When John Cabot explored and claimed Canada's Atlantic coast in the name of Henry VII of England in 1497, the first thing he did was plant a cross. In the conferences and negotiations that brought about the Confederation of Canada, the fathers of Confederation wanted to call the new country the Kingdom of Canada. However, the British government feared that this imperial-sounding name would offend the Americans. New Brunswick's Selena Tilley suggested Dominion of Canada. Tilley was inspired by the passage in the Bible from Psalm 72 verse 8, referring to God's dominion. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. Canada is consequently officially called the Dominion of Canada to this day, a nation whose destiny is ordained by God and whose Lord is Jesus Christ. Like all the Tarshish nations, Canada is a sheep nation and shall be saved. You can see the link for a prophecy regarding Canada that I'll put on the screen. If you found this video interesting, you can find more information at prophecy-workshop.com. Thank you for listening.